Hey guys, welcome to our Monday night team call. I am so excited to introduce our guest who is speaking, Brit JASPERSON. She is the team leader of Team Diesel Daisies. She's phenomenal, one of my success partners in this business, and I'm just going to hand it over to her and she's going to take it away.
Sweet. Okay, so it's so crazy. Kelsey and I talked a while ago about swapping team calls, which we've done before, and she asked me to speak on the mindset that's going to keep you going even when you miss a goal. And that's something we all experience in this business. We all experience failures along the way, and we have to learn to be resilient and to overcome them. But the crazy part of this is that just as of like this last like week and a half, my business is shifting a ton. So I have a business coach, Josh Coates, who I work with. He is basically having me kind of like rebrand everything, which is causing me to get a lot of backlash from the people in my tribe who don't really get the new branding. And then also, like, I don't know how you guys grow your social media, but that's my strength. Like, social media is what I rock at. And just as of like this weekend, Instagram's really cracked down on third-party apps. And so I'm basically going to have to be changing the entire way that I grow my platform. That's been working great for me that I don't want to change at all. So these things that I've written down that I'm about to teach you, not only have I learned them from experience in the past, but I'm literally living and dying by these things right now, because if I wasn't, I would be like basically overwhelmed and I'd be like, screw this, I'm out. So I'm excited to talk about this today, but I kind of want to lead in with talking about my personal like missed goal that resonated the most with me. So I became a coach in March of 2015, and in a sense, I was a dream coach. Like, I approached my coach. I asked her what the heck she was doing and how I could do it too. I signed up and immediately started getting results and posting about it really courageously and inviting people and hitting Success Club. I hit Success Club 10 my first month, my second month. Like, I was a success starter. Like, I was the kind of coach that everyone like dreams of having to a point. But my issue was I wasn't very organized. I didn't really have everything systemized. I didn't have solid scripting. I wasn't really using a great system to track my people. I was just using pen and paper and not very effectively. So I plateaued really hard. I was generally hitting Success Club, but I felt constantly out of control. Like, I just felt like every single month when it was the first of the month, I was like, crap, how am I going to do that again? Like, I don't even know how I've done it the last 5 months or 6 months or 8 months. So how am I going to replicate my own success? Because I just felt like I was all over the place. So fast forward to July 2017. And just for context, you guys, this means I've been a coach for over 2 years. And people looking from the outside in think I'm really successful because I'm hitting Success Club, right? So I'm like a leader on the team, but I feel like a nightmare. And so it's July 2017. I get home from Summit. I think I had like only 2 points on the board. And I was like, crap, I need to work my butt off now to hit Success Club because I don't have that much time. So I like beast moded. I was inviting like 50 people a day. I was messaging everyone I knew personally and like begging them to support me. Like, hey, I have this goal I need to hit. Will you please like help me out? And it was legit the last day of the month. And I had SC4. And I had to pay my assistant to buy a pack through her email to get myself into Success Club. And that to me was like my rock bottom missed goal moment where I was like, screw this. I'm either going to quit this business because I obviously suck, or this is the moment where I figure this out once and for all, and I never, ever, 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 ever allow myself to be in this position again because I cannot take the stress of it. So with that said, I want to lead into my 7 best kind of mindset tips and tweaks to make sure that you persevere when you miss goals. So basically, number 1, and this is kind of what I was leading into with that story, was you get to choose your rock bottom. So to me, that's one of the blessings of a missed goal. And this moment in my business, that was what I chose for my rock bottom. I basically said, okay, I'll entertain the idea of quitting. And I thought to myself, like, what would that look like? working. I'm going to allow myself to go there. Well, I'm still going to work out because it's important for my health. I have autoimmune disease, so working out is a non-negotiable. I'm still going to be drinking superfoods and eating clean because, again, for my disease, it's a non-negotiable. I'm still going to be sharing about this stuff on my platform because I actually have a really deep desire to help other people prevent lifestyle diseases by being proactive about their habits. So, and at that point, I was like, I'm still even going to be doing personal development because that's so important for my mental health now. So I was like, okay, so basically I'm going to do every single thing that a coach does, only without the actual tools to help people or an income. Like, that literally makes no sense whatsoever. So that was the moment I drew the line in the sand and I said, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going to figure this out no matter what. And this is my line in the sand. Like, I'm never letting this happen again. I am fixing my crap. And so at the end of the day, when you miss that goal, like, if something hurts enough, you're going to decide to never let that happen again. So I'm going to recommend, first and foremost, that you lower your threshold for rock bottom, because I think the less you're willing to tolerate, the less those missed goals are going to hurt, because you're still being really proactive and really on top of your stuff. And that leads me to point number 2 about missed goals and mindset around them, which is failure is only the midway point to success. So we live in this society where I think everyone we all want to show our best selves, and it's all like success, money, fame, like that's what we all focus on, right? But what we're really not good at focusing on is all the mini failures along the way that got people to that success that we're then seeing on social media or in their, celebrity or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, this moment for me, this almost missing success club moment, that taught me so much. And every time that you have this mini failure and this missed goal, you get the opportunity to learn something that's ultimately going to propel you towards success. So failure is the midway point to success. You're either going to win when you shoot for that goal, or you're going to learn something that's ultimately going to lead to winning. So either way, failure is a win as long as you just don't quit, you guys. As long as you're being the CEO of your business and you're paying attention and you're learning and you're tweaking, you're not losing by failing to reach a goal. It's going to propel you towards that goal regardless. Point number 3, and this is a biggie. This is probably the one that keeps me going more than anything, is obstacles in this business are going to give you the opportunity to grow as a human being. So I don't know about you guys. I know every team has a different vibe, but me and my team, we're very growth-oriented people. We really enjoy digging into the personal development and the self-awareness, and we enjoy making progress as people, just towards our best selves. I know that sounds really woo-woo and kind of like the right thing to say, but that really is what I care about, and that tends to be what my girls care about too. And so one thing I've learned from working this business for the last 4.5 years is that every time some junk is happening in my business, all that it's actually doing is reflecting me back to me. So it's not really a business problem, it's really a me problem 100% of the time. And it gives me the opportunity to work on my mindset, work on my heart, work on my work ethic, work on these different facets of myself as a person. And it ultimately just helps me make my entire life better. By having those kind of maybe negative qualities reflected back at me, it gives me the opportunity to work on them, which just makes me happier in all of the areas of my life. And the other thing is, when I'm going through tough times outside of my business also becomes my anchor. So the cool thing about this business is, like, what is our job? Working on our fitness, working on our nutrition, working on our mindset, being connected with other like-minded, motivating, inspiring human beings. So at the end of the day, when things outside of my business aren't going great, I'm able to lean into my business for the coping tools to keep going, and to know that even during these really hard times in my life, like, I'm still making progress in these areas, in my health, in my social life, in my income. So the business just kind of reflects me back to me, and it also gives me something to lean into when life is tough. Number 4, around missing goals, and I know this is a cliche, but I'm just gonna own it, which is shoot for the moon and you're gonna land among the stars. I know. We've all heard it before. We're all tired of hearing it. But at the end of the day, the goal isn't it feels great to hit goals, right? Like, I hope you set goals and you crush them all the time and you feel freaking awesome about it. But the reality is we're not always going to hit our goal. And so I hope that you're hitting, or that you're setting a big enough and inspiring enough goal that when you miss that goal, you still feel good about whatever work you did and whatever progress you made. So like, if your goal is to hit SC10 and you shoot for that and you hit SC6, that still doesn't suck, right? That means you still made an income. You still helped 3 people commit to either their health and or their business. You're still moving your business forward. So at the end of the day, if you're setting big, hairy, scary goals and you're truly like running for them with all your heart, when you miss them, you don't need to feel good, or you don't need to feel bad about that. You should feel good about that because you still moved yourself and you still moved other people forward, even without fully hitting the goal. And then you just get to run for it again, right? You get to run for it again next month. So it's not really that big of a deal. But that's something I've had to learn myself in this business because I tend to be like an overachiever. And I'm also a person who, like, in the past, if I couldn't win, I wouldn't play. So I always came out on top because I only did things I knew I could rock at. So in this business, I don't always hit every goal. And I had to really learn how to like deal with that. But one of my mantras has become something is better than nothing. So I'm like, you know what, if I'm shooting for a really big goal and it just causes me to make some kind of progress or some kind of movement in the right direction, then I have to learn to just be okay with that and just keep shooting for the same goal again and again until I hit it. But either way, I'm making progress along the way, and that's a good thing. Number 5, and this is one of my favorite ones too. I heard this, it was a podcast I listened to with Grant Cardone one time. And he said something along the lines of, the person who remains positive when everyone else is going crazy is the person who becomes the natural leader and everyone else will follow. And I feel like this is so representative of the opportunity that goals give us because, yes, you are going to miss goals. So is everyone else. So first and foremost, all the people who aren't very gritty and who don't have what it takes to be a business owner, when they miss goals, they quit and then they become a victim of this business, right? Oh, network marketing doesn't work. It's a scheme. It's a scam. So first and foremost, yay for missed goals because they're getting rid of like 90% of your competition and they're making you the natural leader by freaking default. So if you can be that person who perseveres through missed goals, that in and of itself is making you a leader that other people are going to follow. It gives you the opportunity to celebrate little successes along the way. So again, staying positive when everyone else is going crazy, right? So other people, oh, I missed a goal. This sucks. I'm out. I quit. But you get to be the person that says, you know what? I missed a goal, but here's what went awesome. Still nailed my health and fitness journey that month. Still helped 2 people. Still made $100. Like whatever those successes are, when you celebrate those wins, people see that you're able to stay optimistic in the face of adversity. And again, you become a leader who they want to freaking follow. So make sure you're celebrating all those little successes. Even when you feel like you missed the big goal, there's still wins that happened along the way. So pay attention to that. And this is something I'm personally leaning into a ton right now. Like even if you look at my page right now or my Instagram story, I'm just like success, success, success. Like I'm throwing successes in everyone's freaking face. And right now it's more for me than anybody else because I'm mentally struggle busting. So I am purposely making myself focus on these little wins along the way so that I don't feel compelled to quit, so that I don't feel like I'm missing the mark. Like really it's for me more than anybody else. And the last thing is when you miss a goal, then you can share that with your tribe so they know you're like a freaking human, right? So everyone is tired of this fake Instagram BS where we all pretend we're perfect and we never have issues and we always have on perfect makeup and everything's just so happy, right? People want to see you're a human that struggles because that's relatable. Like they're going to see themselves in you and be like, oh, she struggles, but she also doesn't quit. So I can do this. I know I'm going to struggle, but if I just don't quit, like I can be successful like her because overall they're going to see you're successful even if you missed a goal. But you can also use missed goals to add so much value to your tribe and share with them, how are you coping with that? Because so many people are so freaking terrified of failure, you guys, and they really just lack confidence. So you have the ability to take that missed goal and say it out loud. Like, hey guys, I just worked my butt off to hit this goal and I freaking missed it. And I'm going to be real with you. Like, I'm really bummed. Like, I worked really hard for this and I'm bummed I missed it. But here's how I'm dealing with it. Here's how I'm still making progress. Here's how I'm going to move forward from this and be better than before. And so you get to use these missed goals to connect with people on a more real level and also add value and show them how, like, that's not the worst thing. Like, yeah, failure doesn't feel good, but also it's not going to kill you. And that empowers your tribe to step into their health and fitness journeys or step into coaching without that major fear of failure that so many people have. Number 6, and this is what I used a lot as a new coach, especially, is make sure that you are valuing your daily actions, your daily consistent actions, even more than you're valuing your results. So at some point, obviously, you have to become results oriented, and it obviously matters. Like, you don't want to work this business and never produce results. But if you place a ton of value on showing up for your 4 vitals like a freaking boss every single day, then that's a goal you have total control over. So even if you miss all the other goals that month, even if you miss Success Club and you miss that rank advancement and you miss that income goal and you miss whatever else you were shooting for, you can still look back on your month and be like, but you know what? I showed up for my to-do list like a boss. Like, I made sure that I took care of my body. I made sure that I took care of my tribe. I made sure that I took care of my mind. And you can celebrate that win because your goal was actions. And that's something that you directly have control over. So for me, even when I miss those bigger goals, those more of like business goals that Beachbody sets for us, I can still pat myself on the back and be like, you know what? I can honestly say I did my best. Maybe I didn't hit the goal. Maybe I missed the mark a little bit, but I really did show up for those 4 vitals like a boss. And so I can give myself my own little party and my own little trophy for that and know that I stayed aligned with my integrity. And then the last thing, number 7, is, and this is the one I lean on when I'm like, okay, when all else fails and my mindset just sucks and I really need to get out of my funk, I remind myself that nothing I'm going through right now with this little missed goal is as bad as what I went through in the past. And I feel like all of you guys have that in your past too. Like, I don't really care what your story is. We all have a story. And I think we can all agree that we've been through something much, 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 much harder than persevering through a freaking month of missed Success Club. Or a month of missing our diamond rank advancement, right? Like, I see a kiddo on here. If you've given birth to a kid, you've done something way harder than coaching already, right? If you could survive that, you can definitely survive a month of missed Success Club. I know for me, like, battling autoimmune disease. So when I have these little failures in my business and I'm feeling bummed out, I'm like, yeah, this sucks, but it's really not that tough to deal with in comparison to the fact that I battled a freaking incurable disease successfully, right? And again, we all have that story, but it's funny, like, we get so wrapped up in the emotions of our business. And I heard this other quote recently that said something like, we call things that are emotionally uncomfortable complicated to give ourselves an excuse to essentially not deal with them. And I think that's so true. I think that's so true in this business. Like, we're like, oh my God, it's too hard to hit Success Club. I don't know how. I don't know how to rank advance. I don't know how to help my coaches. And we act like it's complicated, but it's really not that it's complicated. It's that we know what it's going to take and we don't want to do it because it's uncomfortable or it's going to take more time. And so we just tap out by saying, like, I can't figure it out, right? So at the end of the day, you have to remember that you are equipped to handle this because you've already handled something that's 1,000 times harder than whatever you're going through in your business right now. And so I kind of, in that way, lean on my own strength when I'm struggling with my mindset around missed goals. So that was pretty much what I wanted to cover. That actually took less time than I thought it was going to. But did you guys have any questions or anything else you wanted to chat about?
Britt, that was awesome. I am like still writing like things that I'm thinking. I'm a huge note taker. So this is like what has happened during this call. But the thing that struck me about what you just said, you know, nothing I'm going through with this missed goal is worse than anything, you know, that I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important as coaches, really just like in your health journey in general, you need to have a why, and you need to come back to that why. Because, for example, like I had a coach today who, first, like she just signed up. So she's doing her workouts for like the first time.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can get them on my smart TV, right? I'm like, yep. And it's not working.
Oh,
and we're like trying everything. And I told her, I'm like, this freaking sucks, but we're going to figure it out. I'm like, you're going to do your workout regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Because her why for doing this workout isn't because it's convenient that she can have it on her TV. No,
right.
Like you have a deeper why than convenience.
Yeah.
You have a deeper why than like, this business is easy. Like, no, you have to really come back to that. And I think that helps us when we fail is to reevaluate a lot of what you said, but also come back to, this is why I'm not going to quit, because I missed this goal.
Yes, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
That was something that like actually really clicked with me at Summit this year. Because I feel like there's a lot of cliche whys. Like there's the why that we think is like the appropriate why, right? Like I want to help people, or I want to do it for my family. And I'm not saying that that can't be your why. Like if that's truly your why in your heart, then that's awesome. All that matters is it's motivating to you. But for me, I was saying all of the right things about my why, but I wasn't really feeling like the fire for my business. And the more I thought about it at Summit, and the more I was hearing all these messages, the thing that kept coming to my mind was dog rescue. And that's the thing that I'm the most passionate about. Like I love the heck out of my tribe, and I love the heck out of my family, but at the end of the day, my tribe and my family, they're doing all right, right? Like if I quit this business tomorrow, like the apocalypse is not going to happen, but I see this need in the world for animal rescue, and I feel this moral obligation to get wealthy enough to fund a dog rescue and make a big impact in that space. Like I literally feel like that's what God has called me to do here on planet Earth. And so I was like, why am I not plugging into that more? Like it's easy to tap out on myself. It's easy to be like, oh, Anthony doesn't need me to make this income. And it's easy to say, oh, my girls are all doing fine on their own, but I can't tap out on dogs. Like they need me, period, the end. And so at the end of the day, when I don't feel like continuing on, it's like, it's not about how I feel. It's about, this is my moral obligation to make this difference in the world.
For sure. And I think, and Heather, I know you can relate to this with Avery too. One of the girls in our coach thread the other day, we were just sharing, transformations didn't have to be physical. It could be mindset related. Mm-hmm. And one of my new coaches posted a picture of her and her daughter, and they had like crazy pigtails or something. Do you remember this, Heather? And she talked about in her post, she said the reason, or the biggest transformation that she's had is her confidence. And she talked about how she let her daughter do her hair like all crazy, and then she had to go to work. So she works at a hospital, and she walked around with like this crazy hair the whole day. And she said to me, she says, that's the confidence that I want my daughter to see me with. And that's why it's important. So even when we miss these goals, like if you want your kids to grow up seeing somebody that doesn't quit when they struggle, that's a huge why. Like you got to have something to back you up and keep you from just like bailing. Like you said, it's too easy to make excuses about, anything.
Yeah, that's something Josh Coates talks about a lot. Is he's like, it's so ironic how every parent on planet Earth, with pretty much zero exception, raises their child to chase their dreams, right? You can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. And then somehow we become adults and we're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I'm too broke. And we have all these excuses for ourselves not to chase our dreams. And then meanwhile, we're telling our kids, chase your dreams. And he's like, if you want your kid to chase your dreams, you better be ferociously chasing your own dreams and show them that by example, not preach that and then do something different.
Definitely. Heather, was there anything in particular that stood out to you that you resonated with that Britt talked about, any of those 7 things?
Yeah, that's just funny actually what you just said, because like I was just talking to Avery because she was like, I can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can. Like, you can do this. You just have to find a way to be able to do it,
Yes.
you know? And so, like, she was like, she couldn't reach something. So I'm like, go grab your stool, stand on it, and then you can reach it. And she's like, oh, yeah, I can. I'm like, so all you need to do is just breathe that confidence into yourself, just like you do into other people, you know, like you do it with your challengers or you do it with the whatever, but why can't you do it to yourself? And then another thing was that stuck with me. I wrote it down. I have to figure it out. The one where you were like, the obstacles give you the opportunity to grow, and how you were like, focus on, instead of the bad things happening in your life, to put it towards like a better outlet, like, so your business, you know, because like for me, like I deal with a lot of anxiety and stuff, so sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, I just kind of shut down a little bit. So it's like easier these days doing this because I have figured out ways to just focus on something productive.
Yes.
Instead of holding myself back and not doing anything at all. So it's been helpful a lot just this year. That's why I said, like, this year's been a whole total game changer for me, just learning how to grow in other ways than I never knew were possible before. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's, anxiety is interesting. Like, I've dealt with that as well. And when you have anxiety, you're inclined to do nothing. Like, you just sit there and you stew in your mind, but you don't actually take any action, which then you feel like this guilt that you've done nothing. And then it like gains negative momentum. Like, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you do nothing. Mm-hmm. So if you take that step, like if that step is just drink your shake, do your workout, send 3 invites. Like, if you just take those little actions, it starts to relieve the anxiety, because you're like, okay, I'm working, like, I'm moving in the right direction. I did something, and you start to feel better, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
Another thing that Josh taught me too, because I've dealt with a lot of like overwhelm and stress, is he's like, how come you use the word overwhelmed all the time? Like, you're always overwhelmed. And he's like, why don't you start changing the word overwhelmed to challenged? Because that's all that it means. It's not overwhelming. It's just that you're feeling challenged, which then gives you the opportunity to solve the problem, to overcome the challenge, and you don't have to look at it in such a negative way anymore. And that's also like really helped me to just kind of flip that dialogue in my head.
I think overwhelmed is like an excuse word, like busy, you know, or something like that, or complicated. That's an excuse word that we use. We're like, oh, well, if I'm overwhelmed, then I deserve a break. Like, I should take some space. But challenged isn't a word that we associate that with, because a challenge is something that you're meant to overcome. Whereas like, if you're overwhelmed, your option is to just, you know,
people will
underwhelm yourself.
People will just be like, oh, well, take a break, take care of yourself. Like, we know it will be like, everyone will rally behind us and sympathize and tell us, like, they'll validate our excuse, you know. But if you say like, oh, I'm being really challenged right now, like you said, it kind of demands your action, which is what we're trying to get out of when we use the word overwhelmed.
It does. And Britt, one thing that stood out to me, the last thing, and then I'll let you close it up here. But the one thing that stood out to me, exact same point, the obstacles give us an opportunity to grow, and then the whole shoot for the moon aspect, which I agree is like very kitschy, and I'm like, but at the same time, I wrote next to it, this is our elite goal, because I know the requirements to hit elite.
Yeah.
When I look at like my stats and I look at how far I have to go, I'm like, holy crap. But I know that if I keep shooting for that massive goal, what if we're a 4-star team and we don't hit elite? Okay, we're still a premier team. Like, okay, we still made this massive goal. Just because we didn't get all the way to the moon doesn't mean we weren't successful. And I think that's so important, and it's such a good visual in your mind. The whole galaxy, moon, stars, universe thing, there's a lot more out there than just the moon. Like, you could get to anything that's out there if you push. But I think too often we just set these big goals, and then if we don't achieve it, we just assume complete failure and we don't learn. So
Right.
I think that was one thing that I was like, remember that, Kels? Remember, we're getting there.
And the other thing is, like, no one signs up as a coach and says, you know what, I'm going to start this coaching business because my life goal is to be an elite coach. Or I'm going to start this coaching business because my life goal is to be a top 10 coach. Or I'm going to start this coaching business because my life goal is to make $1 million a year. Like, literally nobody thinks that. We just usually sign up because, I mean, maybe at the most you're like, I want to make this my full-time job. Like, that's like someone who comes in as like a hard hitter. Most of us are like, I just want to get healthy. I just want to make some friends. I just want to make $500 a month, right? So you have to remember, like, if you shoot for elite and you miss it, you're still probably way exceeding whatever you join this business for. You're making way more income. You're helping way more people. You're probably making so much more personal progress than you ever imagined. So that's why it's like, you have to shoot for those big goals, because even if you fall short, you're still massively exceeding whatever you probably joined this business for in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, Britt, this was fantastic. Something I definitely need, because I feel like a lot of times I set goals and miss them. And I'm definitely going to focus on sharing that more with my team and my tribe, because
I would love to see that from you.
It's not something that I do very often, because I am a very, like, not afraid to share my failures, but I'm a very, like, winner mentality. Yeah. So then when I don't win, I'm like, I'll just sit on the bench over here and
just cry by myself
and sit out, take myself out of the game. So I'm definitely going to work on that for sure. So
I think that will empower people so much, because if they look at you and see you winning all the time, they're like, well, she's amazing and inspiring, but I don't win all the time like she does, so I'm not cut out for this. But if you show them, hey, sometimes I win, sometimes I suck, they'll be like, oh, cool, sometimes I suck too. Maybe I could also do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that. And Heather and I both, I think Heather does it way better than I do. But that's why we share clips from our workout during our workout, because I am going to fail way more during my workout than if I'm like, okay, practiced it and I can do it, and then I can demonstrate it. Instead, I'm like, this is me taking a breather because it was too hard.
I love it. Mine's usually just cussing.
Right. But this was awesome, Britt. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just love that we do this, and that this business gives us the opportunity to grow and learn from other coaches that aren't necessarily part of our everyday network. It's just so invaluable. So thank you so much. And in case anyone is not following Britt, what is your, where can they find you on social media?
So my main platform is Instagram, and it's at Miss Von Frankenstein. So MISSVON Frankenstein. So
perfect.
Definitely hang out, posting every day.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the caption for this video on our YouTube as well. And we are gonna take I'm gonna actually stop this recording. So
okay.